Rahubat Zamal.
Rahubat.
I've been
Kaya
reading
Rantat.
Anuki Kawas.
Tour.
Wawe. I've been reading The Golden Children this week, the Taraq.
Tour.
Two questions I have. The first is, what happens? The master teacher doesn't really say what happens if a golden child and a fire child come together.
Okay. So your question
My
is
question is, what would happen? My question really is it possible for a golden child and a fire child to come together
conceive.
and conceive to her?
It is possible because you're dealing with genetics. However, it's the result or the outcome of that mix. It's a bit like in the Bible when it talks about, the beings that came down in Genesis 6:4, the Nephilims, who were referred to as the sons of God, but they mix with the daughters of men and they produce offspring. And that offspring turned out to be weak and wicked. And they were basically bringing about chaos and evil continuously to the point that it actually grieved the Lord that he had made, them. So it's like having agreeable and disagreeable. The outcome can be agreeable or disagreeable. Really, a golden child is supposed to mate with a golden child, female,
To her.
or male and female coming together to produce golden children. I don't have the actual Taraq in front of me, but it's the same thing that's going on with us on the planet, where you have what we say agreeable and disagreeable, or we have the whole thing about cherubim and seraphim, or Yah and Way. But in the case of a golden child, they actually specifically prepared for that purpose of bringing about another golden child. So it wouldn't make sense for a golden child to produce, an offspring that is not a golden child. But people also say this when they speak about the master teacher, because he has offspring. And everyone sometimes says, well, how can the master teacher have disagreeable offspring? The reality is that physically, when you have offspring, depending on what that offspring does and what environment they're in and what they basically partake in, they can become disagreeable. And so he's got both agreeable as well as disagreeable. And the same with us. When we have children, all our children are never all agreeable, you see. So some are agreeable, some are disagreeable. But when we say agreeable and disagreeable, we have to realize that it's kind of slightly different from when we say being a devil, because there are devils by conversion and they're devils by nature, two kind of different things. So when I say devil by conversion, that's learnt behavior, that's following other people. That's why some golden children will be go astray by following fire children. But go ahead, sis.
Huawei. My other question was, the master teacher is very specific in, I'll read from 20.
Okay.
It says, smoking, drinking, lust, doing things to their bodies, tattoos, piercing tongues, and other body cuttings and distortions, chemicals on hair, skin, bleached hair, and coloured contacts. He's quite specific in that list.
Right.
So I actually have two questions from that. Once you overstand and you've read and you've got the knowledge, is it that you should do your best to reverse some of those things? For
Right.
example,
Yeah, I mean,
because he does say why afterwards.
yeah, I mean, the first thing is that some of those things you just have to stop. But some of them, like he says, if you've already got them, like the body piercings and the tattooing, he explains that it can be reversed by the elders. You see, so
Huawei.
they can actually, we forget that our Natharu are very advanced. Like even when people say, for example, they've lost their tonsils have been taken out or their appendix have been taken out. These are body parts that you need for spiritual growth in certain aspects. People say, but my tonsils have been taken out, what's going to happen to me? And he says that they can be replaced.
Well,
yeah, so if you are someone who's serious as a golden child, or someone who actually wants to elevate, it's about fixing the things you can fix and doing your best going forward. And so there shouldn't be that thing of regret or the guilt. Some people, they feel like, okay, because I've already messed up, I might as well continue messing up. No, that's not the way, the attitude you should be having. You should be like, you can fix it. You
Sure.
can fix up. There was a second part?
Yeah, is just with how distinctive he is with, for example, piercings, but he doesn't say piercings, he says piercing tongues, and then he says, and other body cuttings. So I've often seen in our, in different parts of Africa, in different parts of African cultures where Zamel tattoo and Zamalu will have like really big earrings.
Yes.
And different like piercings, and I've always believed that those piercings were of cultural references. So I just wondered.
Yes, I mean, remember that he's been sent to the West. Yeah, he's sent to the whole world, but he's actually here to find those lost children. However, there are many tribes in Africa that, although people will look at them and say, oh, that's the cultural aspects of that tribe, what people don't realize or don't look into is that tribe may have been infected or influenced by disagreeable beings that have come to the planet. So it's not everything you see by tribes that you're going to think, oh, it's just cultural because they're a tribe, because there are disagreeable tribes in Africa, and there's some disagreeable tribes that have been influenced by, remember, these beings that came to the planet, even the beings that were in the land of Nod. And you have like religion by way of these same beings or these deities that have come to Africa and influenced it. So, for example, people will look at, let's say, the Yoruba culture and say they do a lot of things, and not trying to like get on anyone's, put them down or anything, but there are some of the tribal markings and certain things, like it's mutilation, and even like what we call SGM, which is when females' genitals,
surgical,
are they call it circumcised, but it's not really. It basically creates harm because that's coming from males trying to control females and subdue them, to the point where a lot of females are very frustrated sexually. And even with the males that are circumcised, that was because of the food for the God doctrine, where, these Adamites and the Anakites wanted more offspring and children to be produced so that they can basically be food. You see, so we have to look at the tribe, look at what it does, look at the origins of what, where that comes from. There are obviously some agreeable tribes, but yeah, in terms of piercings, he's specifically talking about those in the West, because if you look at a lot of people that pierce their tongues, if you start to go deep into it, a lot of it stems from prostitution, sexual
drives,
exactly. And you got the 200 fallen angels that basically pierced. They had so many piercings. You've got people that cut their tongues in two to have that type of snake or serpent like tongue. So yeah, it all depends on what it is, but yeah, he's after a specific group of people. That's why he says he sifts amongst the many to find those specific children. And in the golden children part of that, he says they're not just Nagaru, they're children all over the world. And just because the Nagaru couple has one golden child doesn't mean that all their children are.
Will be, yeah.
And if you are, don't claim it, don't force it, don't
Yeah.
try and, just if you are, you are. But even then, if you are, you still need to be touched by the master teacher.
Well,
because he needs to activate you in certain ways. And some people trip. They just think, I am a golden child. They let their ego take over. But there's a specific period when these children were born, from 1973 to the year 2003. So if you don't fall within that, time frame, then unfortunately you can't claim it. But at the same time, in the same golden children part of that, he explains that we are the children of the sun. So we are golden children in that sense when you're referring to it from the Melanite children or children of the sun.
Well,
But there are specific golden children that are born within that period. Tua?
Tawatat sama.
Tafir afu zamata.
Wadu.
Okay, Sakhet Ra Tawat for your donation. As usual, you're always supporting us. And I want to just take the time out before we get into the questions to big up and thank everyone who has been supporting OSM Vision from the beginning. Anyone who's working on behalf of the master teacher. See, all the master teacher asks of us is love and unity. So as long as you're pushing Wu-Sabat, you're sharing the doctrine, letting his words be known, you're applying what he's teaching to the best of your ability. So all the brothers and sisters that teach classes, the brothers and sisters that are teaching the language in the various Telegram groups, the team that works with us to push out the content, the office, the administration. There are many people who have been loyal to the master teacher and till this day are continuing to do that, regardless of what people says about them. And the master taught us, if you want something done, get it done. Don't wait and point fingers at other people. Outwork other people. That's all that matters for us to get Wu-Sabat to the world, okay, to humanity, and get the master home with us so he can continue to help, because he is the guide. Where are you going to go if you don't know where you're going? And when we say guide, we're talking about in every sense of the word, okay? He empowers you as God. He makes gods and goddesses in his image and likeness. So don't believe the hype. Don't get caught up with people that think they know what they're saying or know what they're doing or know where they're going. We give credit where credit is due. We give respect to anyone who's working to uplift, and my favorite word right now is freedom. Yeah, freedom of the master teacher, freedom for us, physical freedom, spiritual freedom, mental freedom, financial freedom. That's what we're focusing on right now. And we obviously have the 100 project that we're working on to make this happen, because we do know that it's our time to be free from 6 ether forces, free from, the systems that just basically try to enslave people worldwide, regardless of who you are. So they're fading away, and OSM Vision is here. And remember, we've got 12th of the 12. We've been counting down the video that's going to change the world. Make sure you've already got it set to give you a reminder, because we're all going to be like watching at the same time worldwide. Share it. Help us by commenting, subscribing, just make sure you're engaged. That really does help us. So Sakhet Ra, just wanted to say thank you again for your donation. Peace and blessings. Thank you to all the teachers. Truly a blessing. Yeah, I'm echoing your words. That's what I was just also saying, like, everyone, no matter how small you think your contribution is and what you do to help Wu-Sabat reach the masses is very much appreciated, loved, okay? All right, let's see who is on today. Make sure you're letting us know where you are and where you're chiming in from. And you can call in live today. All right, we're going to put the number in the chat so you can call in live. Who's here? Right, let's see. We've got Nathan Gilbert. Wow.
It's Pharaoh's birthday today.
Oh, it's Pharaoh's birthday today. Okay. Birthday. So you were born today, or Earth Day, or yeah. Well, we want to give you a big shout because you're one of our regulars, and yeah, we wish you more. Even though we don't, Sabians don't really do with the wishing thing, but we just know that yeah, stay strong, stay on Wu-Sabat. Wu-Sabat is the way, it's the future. It's not easy, but it's going to be worth it because nothing that is worth anything is easy. You've got to work for it. Because when people get things for free or get things easily, they don't value them as much, you see. But when you put in the effort and you get it, you seem to take care of it and you seem to want to value it more. So put in the work. Study, study, study. Read, read, read. Teach, teach, teach. Each one reach one, each one teach one. Okay, let me just go through because you've got a lot of, I think, comments. Nathan Gilbert. My name is Nathan. I created the biggest star program in England on record to get human into a higher state consciousness. Okay. I come from the Pleiadian star cluster. Discusses my genetics by extraterrestrial councils of the Galactic Federation. I'm basically saying that I seeded many extraterrestrial star seeds. I started many star seed programs. My children are scattered all over England. The Aldebarans, I'm not perfect extraterrestrial like how Elohim are not. This is Ask Us Anything. You're making a lot of statements, whether it's true or not true. You know, you're making a lot of claims, and many people do make claims, but we need to see the receipts. We need to see the work. This is the first time I'm coming across you, but I'm just saying, like, people don't allow. I will say this because I try my best to remain as humble as I possibly can. You're not saying anything really new to us. Everything you know about God is a lie. I know this because I reincarnated many times in many star systems. I'll give you a thumbs up. Good for you. Let's keep going. Rahubat. That's Fab Solar. Rahubat, Shamuda, Keith Hill, Freedom Master Teacher Malachi Z. York, of course, definitely. Fab Solar again. I'm looking forward to today's live stream. Thank you for all the knowledge you share with us. No problem. Na'ut Shakal. And we give all the praise is due to Pana Babyanun, because he's the one that has actually seeded and woken us up from the slumber of six ether. Music world creates music. Rahubat Saken, Rahubat. It's amazing how many times I see even the Freedom video. My name was spelled wrong, but someone else, Saken, it's all good. You all know the tones. Tawat, Rahubat, glad to have you on board. Last storyteller, Horus Ra, Rahubat, Moisa, OSM Vision is the best place to be for true knowledge, Wu-Sabat, now and forever. You're 1000% correct. And, you know, with your help, with you sharing, and we keep saying this, there's no one like him on the planet. We do give reverence and give thanks to those who have helped, have paved the way in some way. But really, we're the last or the finishing line right now. And this is what humanity has been waiting for. Truth is truth, as he likes to say. And so, you know, we just deal with sharing knowledge. You're always going to get people that agree, people that disagree. That's just by nature. But it doesn't matter, because truth is truth. Truth has no association with anybody else but itself. Nobody has a monopoly on the truth. The truth is the truth, regardless of who or where it comes from. Shout out to Duswa doing his thing on his channel, and many other brothers that are also spreading Wu-Sabat. That's all the master wants us to do. We're not here to debate, argue, fight amongst each other and try and prove who knows more than who. At the end of the day, we're all getting it from the source, and the source is Partner Babianun. So everyone that is helping to spread Wu-Sabat to humanity, yeah, it's all good. Pharaoh, the birthday boy, what are you saying? You say, Rahubat, in our temple of Dendera, where astrology comes from, do we have compatible and enemy signs, things like in the Chinese zodiac? For instance, I'm a dog, I don't get along with dragons. Yeah, that's our nature. That's where you see, you see like Haru or Horus, he has the falcon head. You see many people, and this is what Adamites and the Europeans were not knowledgeable about. They thought the faces and the masks that you saw were actually how the people looked, and they termed it like pagan worshipping and so forth. But those animals were the nature or the characteristics of that individual or that person, So you see Anubu or Anubis, Anupu, he has the falcon, the jackal, not the falcon, head. And again, when you start to look into why, because he was referred to as the angel of death, because his job was to come and collect your soul. So a lot of people fear death because they're like, oh, the angel of death is coming. But it's a job or a task that needs to be done. And it was more him giving you an orientation so you know what to expect and help you to walk through like the different challenges or obstacles that you will face, as you are transitioning through, to prepare you so that you knew what to do. So death is not supposed to be looked at as a negative thing. But Sixth Ether made it a negative thing because they knew that they were bound and could not go beyond Sixth Ether or get trapped within the realms of the earth, as it tells you in Revelation 18:2 about the foul birds, in this cage. So those who fear death is because they know they haven't prepared or made the necessary grade or preparation to have a smooth transition and may come back. So they turned it into a morbid, everybody's crying and everyone's wearing black, and it's all like made to feel like such a negative vibe that everyone's giving off, when it should be a celebration if you are transitioning to live on to another realm, you see. So yeah, I'm just saying that to say those masks that you see on the walls of Egypt, those are signs that relate to the nature of the people. And when you say zodiac, that's what it became. People looked at it like, oh, animals. And zoo comes from that word zodiac. So because obviously it was taken from the Dendera, as you said, in the temple of Hathor. So yeah, it became, as you say, astrology. And yeah, they started to make it into sorcery, basically. But yeah, you're right. To say you're a dog is really, today when people say that, when females use that as a derogatory term for males, in like the music industry and hip hop, and people call it themselves dogs. The females are the BI dog, and the males are dogs. So it's like the nature and what it stands for has been changed. Whereas the jackal, the dog, because that's the origins of the dog, is about they're able to see spirits, be able to protect those beings that were passing from disagreeable beings that were waiting to steal that soul or to, still live in the physical body. So they were protectors and they were able to guard that body whilst the rituals of crossing over were performed. Okay, let's keep going to the next question. Yes, Pharaoh, enjoy your birthday. Are you eating cake? Make sure that you save some for us, yeah? Vegan cake, of course. Right, let's go to the next question. Okay, next question is from, it's not really a question. Music World creates music. We love the teachings of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, the only one truth. That's right. There are many truths, but he brings all the truths together in one. And there are many masters, but he is the master of masters. And we don't just say that lightly. Obviously, we have absolute ashuk for Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York. No one has worked as relentless as he has, putting out so much information and, knowledge. Not just the knowledge, but actually putting it into practical, showing people that it's not just talk, it's about work. Built many cities, resurrected Egypt in the West, and lived it, not just wrote books or talked about it like others do. But at the end of the day, everyone is connected. We are part of the all, and the all is a part of us, and we must recognize that we are one. Nathan Gilbert, if you're just going to just preach and talk and give your experiences and opinions, that's not really what this channel is for. It's really about asking questions about Wu-Sabat and what we teach. If you are, you are. You don't have to convince people you are. Show it by way of your actions. Oh, Pharaoh, I was born on the 9th today. Does that mean anything special being born on the 9th, even though we are in a... These numbers and times that we're using, it's not really so much about the day, because like you say, we're using the Gregorian calendar. It's more about the energy. And like I keep saying, and the master keeps saying it, our proclamation says it. It's not show it by way of your actions. People can say, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that, and this and that. Okay, what are you doing? What have you done for humanity? Like, it's not about talking, it's about doing. Not even doing, getting it done. Yeah, because you got do, doing, and done. Get it done. Someone's asked a question. Can you please talk about, this is I am real Mora. Can you please talk about birthdays? Are we supposed to celebrate our birthdays? And if we are born on a Monday, should we only celebrate it only if it falls on that day? In religion, specifically, or more so Islam, you're taught that if you celebrate, say, the Prophet's birthdays, then that means you're giving preference or reverence to one over the other. So they will teach you that you shouldn't do that. We're not in religion, and we deal with actual facts and logics and critical thinking and things that make sense. If you would like to celebrate. You don't have to, but it's entirely up to you. And when people say celebrate, what do you do? What do you call a celebration? Because sometimes what that means to people is to indulge in vices that are not good for you anyway. So, we're coming to, if you didn't see our last year video on Christmas, go and watch that again, because I think we've pretty much covered most of the holidays. If we haven't, we're going to cover all of them because they have origins. Like, this is a time where people get beguiled and get to indulge in things and just overdo everything, like alcohol, drinking, smoking, overeating. A lot of people have a lot of competitions. It's like, but then you have people who just have the opportunity to just come together because they haven't actually had the opportunity. Maybe they're in different parts of the world or different countries, and they come together as a family, and it's not really about the pagan rituals and all the other stuff and the manufacturing industry that uses this opportunity to sell you all kinds of things that you don't really need. A lot of arguments take place because of competitions, and then a lot of people have trying to keep up, as they say, with the Joneses. They spend a lot of money and then maybe put on a lot of weight. Relationships break up because people are fighting and arguing over a couple of days in the year. And so the disagreeable energy that comes with the pagan ritual can basically create that disagreeableness, right? We have a live caller, so I'm going to pause for the calls and take that call, and we'll get back to the questions in the chat. Rahubat, live caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Peace, Rahubat. Q calling from the United States. I had a question asking about I was doing some research on what is it called, the Pleiadian light lock. And is it true that it was created by like these bird-like beings called like the avians, and it's used to keep the Earth and the solar system protected? And for the beings like the Anaki beings and the other extraterrestrial beings that are here, pretty much to keep them locked in and from leaving, and for them to pretty much be destroyed because they're trying to flee the Earth with all of the things that they've been doing for the past, 5,000 to 6,000 years and getting away with?
Okay, I didn't hear what you said, that the Pleiadian what, and where's the reference that you're getting this information from?
I said, like the Pleiadian light lock, created by the avian, like bird-like beings.
Yeah, but I'm saying, where are you getting that information from? Because that's not
I
from the
got
master teacher.
What you was about to say?
I'm saying that doesn't ring a bell coming from the master teacher.
I got the information from a guy named Young Elder. He said he's a student of the master teacher also, and he talks about a lot of those things.
Right, yeah, that makes sense, because the young elder is the person you need to ask about the information that he's pulling out. I mean, there are many people that have read the master's books, and there are many people that have incorporated other things into what the master teacher is teaching. There are many people that read the holy tablets, for example, that the master teacher put out, and don't get to a point where they accept, for, I'm not saying him, I'm just giving you examples where he says that has expired, right, as of the year 2000. And so when people are saying things that the master hasn't said, that's why we always ask you for the reference. Like, if it's from a scroll from the master teacher, then we can read that scroll and see and break it down where the master is coming from. But if people are giving you references and giving you information and it's not from the master teacher, we don't really speak on it, because the person who's putting out that information is the one that needs to explain it. You see, because everything the master teacher puts out, he explains, and he teaches us and teaches his students to study and learn it so that we can then teach it. But we can't talk on what other people are putting out. So again, you'll have to go to the young elder. And what I would say as well, a lot of people don't follow instructions, or they're not up to date or sticking like the master says, following the lamb wherever he goes. People say things, and again, this is not specific to the young elder, because we meet people all the time and they will say, yeah, I've been, somebody, in fact, yesterday, somebody came in the store and I said to them, I was giving them a flyer just to, see if they, oh, I know all about Nuwapians. That's what they said. And the energy and the way they came up with it, I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't even know all about Nuwapians. But that ego of thinking they know, but they're actually not up to date. They're not close. They're not with the family. They're not, you can tell people that are up to date, that are following and doing what the master has asked of us or requested of us. So often people will say, I was around 20 years ago, or, I followed a master teacher. But then you look at what they're doing currently today, like I'm talking about the master teacher speaks to people, like I'm talking about daily, in real time. So I'm basically saying that not everyone that says, I follow the master teacher, is following the master teacher. So you have to use your own discernment and basically ask those hard questions to see if they are really following the instructions, as in, basically, like, are they up to date? Are they listening to what the master is saying now? And if they're not, they really need to come home and upgrade and be in line, or else they're really doing their own thing. You follow?
Right. Okay. I follow you. I got another question. I know before, you said that at one point in the beginning, the females originally, when there was 24 elders and 12 seeded the planet using the dolphins, the females were able to reproduce on their own without the male, because the female could secrete and impregnate herself to reproduce, to give birth. Mm-hmm. When did that stop? Did it stop when these other extraterrestrials came to the planet and started mating with the females? That's what caused the female to stop being able to produce on her own without needing a male counterpart?
I can't give you the exact date when it stopped. However, it wasn't that. It was because the females themselves fell in love with their creation. And because the male was a X chromosome that was maimed, it means that the male started to develop other aspects. So in the testosterone, basically, and they became more physically stronger than the female. And the male started to do things for the female, and the female kind of really just slowly but gave in her divinity to the male, because she started to rely on the male. And so slowly, like, she started to go into a state of amnesia. And even today, like, when males and females get together, and society in general has suppressed the woman and put men in front of everything. So, if you look in the last 6,000 years, by way of the Adamites, because their deities told them that they will have dominion over the planet for the 6,000 years. So they basically made it into a male dominant world where you have the female suppressed. So you have, like, male in religion, you had all, like, the the bishops, the pastors, the imams, the presidents.
They take the female out of everything. Like, they got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Exactly.
And then they took the woman out and replaced her with the Holy Ghost instead of leaving the mother in.
Right. And even like what we were talking about before, they started to make the female feel inferior to the point where she forgot who she was. And so basically the male we have a patriarch world, and now she's remembering. So yeah, it was mainly because she herself forgot. It's like, even with us, we fell into a state of amnesia when the spell of Leviathan or six ether forces were like dominant. So 9 ether forces have been there all along, but have you heard of the saying where if you take if you take an eagle and you raise it with chickens, it
It'll think it's the
it
chicken.
will think it's a chicken. And this is what we've done, where even though we were 9 ether throughout the 6 ether, because people always ask, if we're so powerful as 9 ether beings, how could 6 ether overthrow us? Well, it's because you can be put in a situation where you're told the same thing over and over and over again. And then as soon as you start to believe it, and this is
Like
what,
slavery and
yes,
enslavement, pretty much.
exactly. Generations. There are experiments that have been carried out to show that this epigenetics or learned behavior can be passed from offspring to offspring, from generation to generation. So,
Right.
but
Trauma.
you have to wake up, and someone comes and says to you, "Do you know you like women? If you say to women, you are God, you created everybody on the planet, they fight you to say, no, I'm created by God, and God is a man." So,
Right.
but a lot of females are starting to wake up now because they're being empowered to remember who they are, and we also, and a lot of men, because they've been given this ego of being supreme and the woman's got to be beneath them. Some male find it very hard, even when you say, like, you come from a woman is actually more intelligent, a woman has more genetic material than you, her matrix is actually complete. But a
Right.
man's ego will not allow him to be like, to think that way. Not to say that the woman is gonna be doing to you what the men have done to them, but it's just the
Right.
recognition to be able to go, you know what, that's true. But now, how do I work together? But then you also have the females who have been taught of given the wrong outlook in life, where they think that means I don't need a man. You hear this on social media, and it's like,
Right. Right. That's the agenda that they're pushing
exactly,
amongst the black community to shorten our numbers and stuff like that.
absolutely, yeah. And it's like you say that, but then everything you do is really to attract a female, a male, to do what you're really here to do, which is procreate. And even that
Correct.
statement is going to get, some females are going to go, no, I'm not just here to do that. No, we're not saying that's the only thing you're here to do. But without procreation, how
There is
do
no
we carry
more
on?
of us.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Right.
go on. I
So
think you had
final
another
final
question.
thing on that question that you asked that we're building right now. So you said originally the woman was able to secrete and produce on her own, and then when she was able to give birth to a male, and over time she fell in love with the male or whatever, because it was like
Yeah.
the opposite being of her and the masculine energy. So a question with that. Back then, when she was able to produce on her own, could she choose whether she was giving birth to a male or a female, or it was like random?
No, she was able to choose, but not like in the sense of I choose. It's more of what you do during the time when you're pregnant, because
Okay.
the energy. This is why when a woman's pregnant, you have to be very careful with what types of stresses you put on her, because those stresses can manifest genetically, you see, and that's why even though mentally you can will that, but you also have to have the right environment and be treated in a certain way, because you agitate those genes that are formulating. This is why today with genetic engineering, they're able to, pretty much manufacture which genes are used to produce a particular result. You follow?
Yeah, yeah, that's powerful because when you said that when she gave birth to the male back then, she pretty much fell in love with what she gave birth to, and then she saw that, like how you said, they were stronger, so she didn't have to play that protection or that guardian role. If she could
Absolutely.
produce the opposite of her that could protect for her, she could fall back and be in her feminine energy while he operates in his masculine energy.
Absolutely. And then that brings balance. But what's happened today is because of the androgynous beings, right, from Andromeda, they are pushing this what do you call it? Basically, they're pushing gender. They're pushing, the whole like LGBT community. The males are becoming feminized, and females are becoming masculine, and the diet and the society and everything goes along with it. The process we're talking about, parthenogenesis, or when you're dealing with the urethral gland and you're dealing with, it's like when you look at how life began, you have single cells that split and then create other cells. So you can see how life can multiply. But it's a sexual reproduction for those who want to do some research. And the baffling gland, okay, these are all the things you would need to search if you want to go into Google or and we have books. We have a scroll called Who is God, Male or Female, an actual fact. And we also have the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, which goes, the Lotus of Life, which goes into more detail. And this whole thing is nothing like scientifically has been proven, even though people will try to dismiss it. There's a female that's in the scrolls I've mentioned who gave birth to children by herself. This is where the Immaculate Conception, you know, of Christianity and Islam and the religious books come from, where they say that Mary, for example, the mother of Jesus, gave birth to her son without any intercourse. But we know that that's really talking about this sexual reproduction. However, we know in that situation that a male was involved, because in order to get the Y chromosome, that had to come from a man. But they've basically taken that process of being able to reproduce by yourself as a female, and the clitoris is, this is all biology, right? The clitoris is a tiny penis, because when a male and female are born, if you look at around the 6 weeks of the fetus, you see that it's neutral gender until either the penis grows outwards and becomes, or shall I say that what we refer in the female as the clitoris grows outwards and become elongated and becomes a male phallus, or it retracts and goes in, and then the orifice of the vagina, then the penis goes backwards or retracts and becomes what you're calling the clitoris, and that can still secrete fluids to impregnate herself. I know for people who hear it for the first time, they're like, what are you talking about? But just do some research. Like everything else we teach, we say, don't believe us, as the master taught us. Don't believe us, check it out. So right. Yeah, you're right, definitely. And the balance of male and female, but today it's getting mixed up to the point where, like I said, men are being taught to be women, and there's another level to that, which is dealing with not the physical organs and the physical attributes, but also dealing with the spiritual side, where you can
is that what you're talking about, the portal, whereas we talked about Akhenaten before, where they had masculine
yes,
and feminine,
exactly.
and those are like the portals?
Yes, and you have you can have a male spirit in a female body, or a female spirit in a female physical body, if I've said that the right way. Basically, vice versa. So this is why people can be physically a male, but they have a female spirit inside, and they feel like a woman on the inside, and vice versa, where you have a man that will feel like a woman on the inside. So what they try to do, because these sciences have not been broken down or explained properly, because when you're dealing with the Adamites, they used to dismiss anything that is dealing with spirituality or anything dealing with the metaphysical world. They will more just focus on the physical, and so they didn't really break this down. But the master teacher, Partner Yanun, has broken this down. So then people try to match their physical appearance to what they're feeling on the inside, and trying to change their sexual organs and so forth to match and try to become a woman when you're dealing with gender. And then you have those who can have both organs, the hermaphrodites and the hermaphrodites, you see. So there's a lot to be broke, and like you mentioned, Uncle Nathan, that's what was going on. He had a double resonance of having, a physical male body, but also having the spirit of a female, and you started to see that manifesting in his being, where his hips, he had hips, he had mammary glands, and he had the shape of a woman. But when you look at him, he was actually a man.
Okay. Final question.
This is definitely going to be
What
the
was it?
final question because there are other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get on. All right, go
Definitely,
ahead.
definitely. What was it? Yeah. So, final question I was gonna ask the Dogon tribe, and I think that's
Mali.
either is it West Africa or East Africa?
Yeah, in Mali, yeah, the Dogon tribe.
Yeah, Mali. Okay. Yeah. So the Dogon tribe, did the Nomo, the reptilian beings that claim they know the most, did they pretty much give the Dogon tribe information that they wasn't supposed to have, as like advancing them and telling them information that they wasn't supposed to receive?
It's not that they weren't supposed to have it. They shared it and taught them because they came from them. Because when we say Nomo was the first to arrive, and the Nomos is the plural where you have both. But it's like all life forms on the planet originated or came by way of the waters. So again, the master teacher explains that extensively in the holy tablets. But it's like they just shared and taught them where they came from, how they got here, and just the same thing happened with us in ancient Egypt. Our ancestors, they taught us too, but it's just that over time, over generations, things had to be kept sacred or became secret and only secreted to those who could keep those secrets, because a lot of the times when you had foreigners, they would come and steal or try to basically get your information to use it for their own advantage. So it's not that they weren't supposed to know. It's just like us. We had information that was taught to us and passed down, and we protected that information. But people came into ancient Egypt to learn, but they were only given certain aspects of it, because in order for you to be given those secrets, which are very, very powerful, you have to be able to use these secrets responsibly, because it's like you can't give a child a loaded gun because they don't really know the damage that gun can actually do. So, the Europeans came and they were taught and given, information to help civilize them, and other people, or everybody went to Egypt. This is why when you read the Bible and the religious books, they all have to go to Egypt, because Egypt was the cradle or the source that civilized the entire world. But when we say Egypt, we have to go pre-dynastic Egypt. We have to go back to those original beings that evolved and came from the waters by way of that, like you mentioned earlier on, the seeding of the dolphins from, our ancestors from Risk and from Orion and Sirius. And these beings had information to build the pyramids, and things weren't just done for the sake of it. There were reasons for them. So that information was kept sacred until we awoke to the point where now we're able to be given this information. And even then, you receive it by way of your, how you demonstrate the little that you know and what you've been given. What are you going to do with it? Because with great power comes great responsibility, you see. So the master teacher is here to find those people that want to become supreme beings and teach them, and then give that information. And that's what our job is, to reach and find those beings. And so sacred information, the word secret, when you hear the word secret, as in SERET,
SEC.
SECRET, and then you hear the word secrete, it's the same word, but it's the pronunciation changes it, because you're secreting meaning you're giving it slowly in a particular way. It's like the word information. When you say it like that, you just hear information. But if I go in formation, it's different tones. So it being in formation, being in a particular order. But when you hear information, you just hear like you've been taught. You're getting given information, but you have to be in order, in formation, in line. These are not coincidences, you know. You have to basically make the grade. You have to be a chosen one. That's why it says many are called, few are chosen. All right?
Right. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome every time. Taraq. All right,
Now,
let's get back to the questions on the chat. Are you going to watch the video coming out on Friday? We really need to know. Remember, Friday is 12/12. That was done intentionally. Yeah? So if you are, hit that button to say yes, you are. And if you're not, well, I don't know why. There's no excuse. But so far, no one is saying they're not going to watch it. But share it as well, okay? All right, let's get back to where we were with the questions. Ricardo Rahubat, all the way from Australia. We got to link up. It's been a while. Rahubat Zamal. Okay, Sky Eagle Media Rahubat. Bruska Noise Rahubat Sakin. What is the difference between an abode and a plane of existence? Tawuat. Okay, great question. The difference is really, you hear me speak a lot about density. It's like, let me think of a great example. Yeah, it's like intergalactic. Let's say, like, if I say intergalactic, what I'm saying is you've got different galaxies and you can travel to these different galaxies, right? But the mode of transportation, like, you can get in a craft and travel to these different galaxies. Okay, let me make it even simpler. Like, let's say in a house, you have many rooms and you can go through doors to get from one room to the other room, right? But you could, if you had the ability to go into a different dimension, so you can walk through the wall or like go through the wall, because you're able to break down or transform yourself to the vibration or the frequencies or the density of the material that the wall is made of. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you could travel, say, from here to another galaxy as energy, right? As in you can transform yourself or turn yourself inside out, leaving the physical you in the material vibration, but taking your essence, let's say, as we use the word light or energy. Yeah, because the reason I'm using light is because light has a speed, and people say that, you know, the fastest way to travel is at the speed of light. So you don't need to get into a physical craft to travel those long distances from one galaxy to another galaxy. But you could also get into a craft physically, but you have your being will have to be prepared to withhold traveling at that speed, right? This is what, when you start to break, we call it G-force. The force can be so fast that it can rip you apart, because you're held together by your different atoms, held together by the different energies that are composed within the atoms based on the nutational rate. So going back to your question, in religion, for example, they make it easy. Even in general English, we say solid, liquid, and gas to make it simple for people to comprehend, right? So we would say ice is the solid, or the density of ice is more of a low vibration than the liquid. When you then heat up the ice, which then melts and becomes liquid. But the liquid itself is now in another form or density that can also then be transformed by applying heat to the water to produce what we would call vapor, yeah, or steam, which will then eventually dissipate into what you may consider nothingness. But it's not, it's still there. Like right now, we're breathing oxygen, but you don't generally see the oxygen because we just look at it as air, but it's there. But there are different states of air, and as you go, in terms of the vibration, go faster or higher, you start to get to ether. And even with ether, there's different subtleties or vibrations or levels. So in Islam, the simple way that we were taught that was the physical realm was known as what? Nasut, the realm of human beings. Then you had, so that would be the ice. Then you had the next level, which would be the realm of angels, which was referred to as Malakut. Then you had the realm that we would call air or steam or ether, we would say Lahut, okay? But within those three strata or those three levels, solid, liquid, and gas, you have variations of solids, you have variations of liquids, because there are like nitrogen. Like when you start to look at life, you know, you're looking at carbon, you're looking at hydrogen, you're looking at nitrogen. These are what we call noble gases, but they're still there. They're just at subtle vibrations or frequencies, yeah? So when you're asking the abode, so the abode of humans, we would say the physical realm or the material world. And the plane will be which plane within that realm. So let's make it simple. So we said the realm is, as I said before, the material realm. But then within that material realm, you have the planes or the different subtleties between those planes. I hope I'm not losing you. I hope I'm making sense. And then when you say existence, this is where we go into ought and naught, or what people would call unseen and seen, or nothingness, which is no, N-O, thing. We say nothing, but we mean no thing, or there isn't a sum. Because when you look at the periodic table, this is how things start to be measured. And that's why you're saying a thing. So, you know, we get H1 for hydrogen, H2 for helium, and as I said, mentioning the noble gases, C6 being carbon, nitrogen, etc. Right? So when you start to go to the other side, where it wasn't known to be quantified because they couldn't measure it, they said nothing exists beyond hydrogen. But with the right information, outformation, and the right apparatus and technology, they started to subdivide the atom to realize that there are things that exist beyond what you're calling nothing. So things exist, but they weren't just able to be measured. So then when they subdivided the atom, they realized you had quarks, you had biaps, ZDs, and going to the 9 levels of ether, you see. So those who exist in ether, which was not known to anybody else, that's going to our ancestors, the Natharu. And when you evolve to a state where it's hard to put it into words or explain it because you have to experience it. But coming from a pure energy as a pure ether being or an Etherian, and being able to, because you've now mastered all the realms coming down this way, all right? So the physical realm, the spiritual realm, the soul realm, the mental realm, the etheric realms going down, up in subtleties all the way to the point where you can now realize you don't need to exist with a physical body. You don't need to be governed by the rules of the physical abode. Like the physical abode, if I didn't have this body right now, I may be here, but you wouldn't see me. I wouldn't be able to use my mouth and my larynx and my voice to speak, because the rules of engagement would be completely different. So there are beings that surround us every day that are disembodied beings, but at different densities or vibrations or energy. This is where people start to talk about ghosts and talk about certain beings that exist. Not to spook anybody out, but I really do hope. So existence comes before creation, because to create something is to take something that already exists and then create. And that's where religion starts off with creation, because they say in the beginning, God created. See, that's where people's minds get lost, because you're saying in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But your mind is going to say, how does God exist then? Because he's already there. And how does he exist? What form is God in? To say he, because he then brings you to gender, male for that matter. So he created. So you're like, if he's a man, we then know men and women come from women. So your mind's going to say, if he's a he, who created him? Because that would be the beginning, because whoever created him, and when you start to question people in religion about gender, like why are you referring to him as a him or a he? If anything, if you say he, she, or some other gender other than he, they don't want to, their mind doesn't, but Wu-Sabat, their mind doesn't let them process that. But in Wu-Sabat, the ability for you to reason is what you need, so that you can be like, something is missing. You see, so for God to create is to take that which already existed and make things and grow things. That's what people are calling creation. But Parnabab Yanun, being an Etherian being himself, as a 720 degree being, that's mastering the 360, which represents completeness of the physical world, and 360 degrees of what you would call the unseen or the etheric world put together, is able to teach you anything you'd like to know about the physical world and anything you'd like to know about the worlds that exist beyond the physical world. I know I went long, but I hope that really helps you. That's a great question, Brusca Noise. Okay, Pharaoh says, Tabu Tap Moisar for the shout out. Most definitely. Pharaoh. Nebu Meska. Marches, if you really think about it, because I know you made a statement that Nuwapians and Sabians should do a big march for the master teacher. Man, if you look at the marches, going back down to so-called civil rights marches with Martin Luther King and all of that, where has marches ever got anybody? I mean, it's great for awareness to bring the plight, and we've done several of those already. We did marches in Washington. We need absolutely everyone to utilize their social media, their platforms, speak out, share the videos on OSM Vision, share the videos that you see and anything to do with Parnabab Yanun, the master teacher. Awareness, clear his name of these false allegations, stand up and be counted. There's no point just talking. You have to do something, because that's what nature is about. You know, you have to mobilize. You can't just read all these books, have all this knowledge in your head and just keep it to yourself. It's literally like it should motivate you to go and share it. Even if it's one person you share it to, that's one person you reach and one person you teach. All right. So yeah, marches are great, but we just need to come together in love and unity and spread the word. All right. Okay, we've got Rahubat Zamal, okay, Athir Antak. So that's from Quadro, Rahubat. Virgin Islands 7326. Rahubat Moisyar, much ashok and peace and unity. Free Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, watching from Florida. Tour, absolutely. All right, Monterey Coquetso. Is it true that some of the fruits we eat were modified to grow that way from their trees, for example? But absolutely, it's true. Yeah, this is the world we're living in at the moment, which is an unnatural and natural mixed together to confuse people. Yeah, it's called GMO, genetically modified, foods and fruits. And the argument that people have is, oh, there's not enough food to go around, and that is not actually true. It's bred by these beings, these disagreeable beings, because you don't get the same nutrients, the same energy and vibration from what you're consuming, which obviously changes you. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know what real food looks like because they've never seen it, they've never grown it. They buy it from supermarkets. And if you've never seen a real banana before, based on your question, how do you know what a real banana is? If you've never seen a real life chicken, how do you know what a real life chicken is? Because most of the young people and people that grow in the West, they just get food from supermarkets or ordering it online, you see. So, yeah, Monsanto, people that are producing a lot of things without seeds, because things that don't have seeds are not generally naturally grown. And people will ask the question and say, what if I grow my own food? But there's a lot that goes into that. Do you have your own land and soil? Do you have your own seeds? And where do those seeds come from? Because this is what's happening. You could have seeds that are not natural in the first place to begin with. And you can have soil that, again, is not natural, because now you have all sorts of fertilizers and, like you said, a lot of chemicals. So you have to, this is why certain things only grow in certain climate. But now you can create an environment, excuse me, you can create an environment with the right lights and everything and grow things, artificially. So it's a tall one, but that's why you have to be on certain land that's fertile, where you can grow food yourself from original seeds and so forth. Okay, let's keep going. Nebu Mesca, virgin. Fort Myers to see a local knowing the truth. Okay. It's more, yeah, just to say you're glad to see a local knowing the truth. Grace Jockey 8123. Positive energy in here. 100%. We make that positive energy because everyone's mind linked. Once you're linked mentally, you're automatically linked physically. So we can create our reality based on our mentality and how we're thinking and the energy and the positivity that we are actually sending out to the world. You see? So yeah, that's what it is. Mind linked. We're locked in on positivity. Okay, we've got a new person to the teaching. Toria Edwards, 2564. New to the teaching. What scroll is a good place to start? Much love and respect for the work from South Carolina. We get asked this question so many times. I think the best thing is for you to look at the scrolls, look at the covers, look at the titles, look at what your attention is drawn to. A lot of the times, your ancestors are with you, that are working with you, within you, and from the other side or the other realms, and maybe even guiding you to Wu-Sabat. So you have to let your being gravitate to a scroll that you're drawn to, okay? That's the first recommendation. Look at the covers, look at the scrolls, look at the titles. What is it that is interesting to you? And the title will draw you to, and you pick that scroll. We can recommend so many books. There are over 1,000 books with different titles covering everything under and above the sun. So that would be a suggestion. But we do have scrolls that we know, like, for example, we've put a scroll together based on that exact question, known as Fast Track Your Spiritual and Conscious Journey, because people kept asking us that question. And in the book, we recommend many books, but we walk you through and put all the pieces together in a, like I was saying before, giving you an orientation into who Partner Babyanun is, the master teacher, the journey, the scrolls, and then it helps you to decide and move forward. We recommend the mind scroll because your mind is very powerful, and that gets you to start to see things differently and reason in a particular way. So the mind, then your potential is another classic. There are so many scrolls, but most importantly, join our Telegram group, which is in the chat, because when you join the Telegram group, if you read through all the questions that have been asked previously, we have a repository with many clippings and excerpts of scrolls that may not be available, many student teachers answering questions, and you can get so much from just going through that Telegram group. And then it may help you formulate questions, and then the question will lead you to a scroll. So, for example, someone might say, who is God? That's a question. And we will be like, there's a scroll called Who is God? Somebody else might be like, oh, is it true that women were before men? We're like, yeah. There's a scroll called Who is God, male or female? You can ask any question that is interesting to you, and that would be where you start, because like the movie The Matrix says what? It is the question that drives you, because the question leads you to finding the answer. And once you find one answer, sometimes that one question will give you another 10 questions, or the answer you get is going to be like, wow, I didn't know that. So, okay, so women can procreate without men. It explains everything, because everyone on the planet comes from a woman. That's how simple it is, factually. Even if you want to say it's a test tube baby through IVF or whatever, like, they still need the woman in the process. So everyone on the planet comes from a woman. So there's no way you're going to tell me that God took the rib from a man to create a woman. Scientifically, historically, whatever way you look at it, everyone comes from a woman. So now you find that out, you're going to be like, okay, so what is that? Is this known scientifically? Then we say, yeah, go and do some research. and then you're in a, as they say, the rabbit hole, because you're now on a journey like the Matrix. Like, are you willing to now be reborn, right? Are you willing to basically strip off all the lies, all the things you thought you knew, and be like a sponge, willing to be able to start again like a child and soak up the truth and the knowledge? And you find out that when you go down this rabbit hole, it's like the red and blue pill. You have to be willing to deal with the truth. Regardless of how bitter it may be, truth is truth. So that's what it is. Ask questions. What questions do you have? The questions will lead you to the scrolls, and the master teacher is like an open tap of information to information that never literally stops, because even the Bible and the Quran and religious books tell you, seek knowledge from cradle to grave. So we never stop learning. People make excuses and say, oh, I'm too old. No, you're not. Your mind is not too old. So as long as you have that mental attitude to learn new things, you can. But if you don't want to grow, you want to be like stuck going around, you know, if I go to a church or a mosque today, yeah, or let's say tomorrow, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be the same sermon and service that I heard 20 plus years ago. They don't move, they don't change, they don't evolve. And anything that doesn't change is dead. Because when you're alive, you change. That's what growth is. You're constantly growing and changing. But if you're not growing mentally, you're just stuck on doing the same things over and over and over again. And you know it doesn't make sense, but you do it anyway because of peer pressure, because of family pressure, or because other people are doing it. Then you're not giving yourself the opportunity to grow and learn. So it's entirely up to you. But if you choose to stay that way, that's fine. That's also your choice. Okay, there's another question. Oh yeah, the other thing you can do, Toria Edwards, you can go to your local bookstore or community, if there is one near you. Check out UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com to see if there is. Go and socialize, go and see people, go and talk to people, go and look at the scrolls and get, that energy from sharing with other people. Okay, Ike's Legend 8716. Greetings, Saken. You spelled my name right. Greetings, Saken. I'm a long-time supporter tuning in from the USA. I've so much and so little from you. I've so much in so little from you and OSM. Thank you. No, thank me, but thank the master teacher, because I always say this, in honoring your parents, your life will be longer, you see. So we always have to say, and this is where we go wrong a lot of the times, we don't like to give respect where respect is due and honor those that came before us and those that are teaching us. And the master is still here, so as much as I appreciate love your kind words, I have to tell you that if it was not for the master teacher, none of us would be here. And it's all coming from him, with my own flavor, of course, because we know, as the master says, and even Jesus said, as they say in the Bible, the works that I do, you will be able to do what? Greater. Because when someone gives you all their jewels and then you have your own to add to it, of course you're going to do greater. So many are masters in terms of whether there are chess masters or karate or whatever martial art master. If they teach their student all their moves and the student has his own moves, he's going to do better or should do greater. And that's what we're supposed to do with our offspring. We're supposed to be able to, from generation to generation, we're cutting out the crap and the new ones are supposed to do better. But if they get caught up you know, they get caught up and they don't want to, you know, listen, learn, grow by not only having themselves, but taking on what the elders give them. Yeah, they're going to be more and more powerful. So just wanted to do that. But yeah, we do appreciate, love your comment. Pharaoh, Nebu, 100. Oh, you're talking to Nebu. Yeah, true. Marching gets everybody on the surveillance biometric ID. That's true. Yeah, the technology they have now with face recognition and all of that. Yeah, you do put yourself. They probably have got you logged on the database anyway. Not like if you're not doing anything. People always say that, like, if you're spreading truth and helping people and sharing knowledge, what's wrong with that? I know some people don't want to hear truth, but truth is truth. And all the movies I watch, it's very rare the bad guys win. That's why you have superheroes and all the movies, the good guys always triumph, right? So if the truth is good and lies are bad, truth should win. So we're on the good side. We're the good guys. We're helping to break the spell, sharing knowledge that will help anyone and everyone on the planet to be a better person if they apply it. So, you know, I don't know why people say it's like we're not doing anything wrong, so we're good. I know I can hear the voices already, but so was other teachers in the past. But it's too late. The time that 6 Ether were ruling has come to an end, and Parnabab Yanun is here. And there's nothing that can change this. This is by the forces of nature. You know how powerful that is, 9 Ether? If you don't know, ask someone. Okay, let's keep going. Great questions, everyone. Remember, 12th of the 12th, that video is dropping. Get your popcorn, whatever you like, so that you're going to be like this, glued to the screen. All right? And we got so much more in store for you. And that's why we keep asking you, support us, help us, share the videos, like the videos, subscribe to OSM Vision. You know, help us with the projects we're working on. All our projects are designed to bring you more, to reach more people, to just bring Wu-Sabat to the world. You know, so all of the people who have helped us, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because, you know, we all have to do our part. All right, let's keep going. Next question. Sky Eagle Media, Rahul Batsaken, who are the other beings that reside on the other 18 planets apart from the 8 planet Risk in Ilion? That's a great question. Answer is I don't know. And that's a great question for Parnabab Yanun, or the master teacher, to answer. Who are the other beings that reside on the other 18 planets apart from the 8th planet Risk in Ilion? Great question, Sky Eagle Media. I'm going to have to take that one back to the master teacher, to the one who knows, and see if we can. I mean, he hasn't really expounded, and you know, he's given us beings, but hasn't actually pointed out like they are from this specific planet. But yeah, that's a good question. We'll look into that for you. Pharaoh, and Ankh, you, everyone, for my Earth Day. Okay. Let's keep going. Grace again. Jockey, thank you for always answering our questions. I love you. Divine love. It goes both ways. Without your questions, we wouldn't be able to answer and help other people, because your questions actually, you don't know, like I mean, you can ask a question that, like that one you've just asked, Sky Eagle. It's like we wait and we want questions we cannot answer, because that means we can go and get that information from the master teacher. So don't be ever like don't take it for granted that your question is not important, no matter how silly you think it might be, or how complicated or complex you might think it is. It's always something that we welcome. So yeah, we love you too. Divine love, that is. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I can see, like, let me go to the question. Someone's just having a conversation. Oh, another great question, Grace. Grayson Jockey. Why is it wrong to use the word wish in Sabian? It is not that it's wrong. It's like the word wish is like wishing on a star. Pause. I'm going to take a live question and we'll come back to that. Rahubat, greetings, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Still connecting, still connecting.
Still connecting. Okay. Rahubat, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Rahubat, brother. Second, this is Sky Eagle Media.
Oh, Rahubat. Go ahead.
Rahubat, I'm the one that asked you the question about the 8-planet risk.
Yeah.
What about the other planets in Ilion?
Tua. Yes. Did you hear my answer?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard your answer. I was listening to it.
Okay.
I'll just call you just to tell you that about it, and really, because this is something that I've been thinking about. Like, probably you'll be able to answer it, but it's a deep one. It's a very good one.
Yeah. And there's so much more we don't know about planet risk and different beings. This is why we keep saying the master is ready to take us to a level that no one else can, but we have to ask the right questions, and we have to be able to ask the right questions. We have to study, and we have to study all that he's already given us, so that we can ask questions based on what he hasn't given us, and that will elevate all of us.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I used to be there many years ago.
Right. Where's there?
That's right. Yeah. And brother Asaru, yeah, I know him as well.
Oh, okay. When you say you used to be there,
I think I know you as well, many years ago.
Where's there? Where did you used to be?
In Brixton.
Oh,
Brixton. When you used to have
the classes.
Brother Simon, Wesley, them.
Okay.
And all the others that used to be teaching there. Yeah.
Right.
And even this other one, not Ishmael. Not Ishmael. There's another brother, Kida.
Okay, I remember. But we need a lot of those people may not even be around right now. So yeah, you have to stay up to date and be.
I know, 100%.
Yeah, come.
I'm with you.
All right, no problem.
And the spirit of the Most High be with the master teacher and all of us.
No, I hear you. The master teacher is here, and we have to just.
I know. The master teacher gave me the name as well, because my name is Geb.
Right, Tua.
Yeah, Tua.
Right. So I hope you're learning and studying the language like we all are.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
I can hear some karadu in the background.
Sorry, that was my little one.
Yeah. Teach them Wu-Sabat from the get-go, so,
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
All right. Tawutat for calling in.
All right, then. Wadi. Yeah, Tawhat. All right.
Okay. Next question. Yeah, we were answering the question, why is it wrong to use the word wish in Sabian? It's not that it's wrong, but like I was giving you the example, it's like wishing on a star. It's like, I wish why do you have to wish when you can do? It's like, why believe when you can know? So when you say wish, remember I gave the example, the language is like do, doing, done. Yeah? Go, going, gone. Like, you have to get to the point of done. That means you're not speaking, oh, I'm going to. Oh, you hear people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to. And you just like, I've heard that so many times. Come and tell me you've done it. You know, I'm going to. So when we say wish, we don't wish because we can make things happen. So there's no point in saying, oh, I wish I could get blah, blah, blah. I wish I could learn the language. I wish. What's stopping you? Because wishing is wishing on a star, you know? So it's like the word trying, you know, trying. Why are you trying? Just get it done. And that's not to say that there isn't a process that you're going to go through a process to arrive at done. But the energy you spend just wishing and just talking about I'm going to or I'm trying, because people be like, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be, you know, the best I can be. I'm trying. All right. Why are you trying? Why don't you just be good? I'm trying to stop smoking. I'm trying to stop drinking. I wish I could stop drinking. I wish I could stop smoking. I wish I could stop going to the club. Why are you wishing when you can get it done? So skip the wishing part and just say to me, I've stopped smoking. I've stopped drinking. I've stopped going to that place. I stopped hanging with those people. I've done it. It's done. Do you follow? So I hope that answers your question. Because the wishing thing, it's like, it then breeds ignorance. It breeds waiting for somebody else to come and do it for you, because you'll be like, oh, I wish I had a mansion. Oh, I wish Jesus can come and save me. Like, the helping hand you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. If you can't do it by yourself, then if we're all working together, we can get it done quicker. So our issue is not that we don't wish for things. We wish we had our own school. We wish we had our own hospital. Why can't we just do it? When you really look at it that way, there's actually nothing stopping you from doing and getting it done but yourself. And a lot of that comes with fear. It comes with, oh, I can't work with this person. I don't trust that person. But the people who just come together and work, they see the result. And when you've arrived at the end product, you know everyone contributed, everybody that actually was about it. That's what we're saying. Like, for example, we would say, we want to get this done. We need your help. Come and help. And some people come. Most of the time, it's not as many as you think. That's where the few are called. We go from few are called to few are chosen. But how many people even heed the call? How many people respond to the call? So you respond and then you get it done, or some people just don't get it. They leave, or they start and they stop. If you think about running a race, like, 100 meters, or whatever, relay, at the start, you have many people. They call everyone's name representing their different countries, right? Let's say there's 10 people. Once that gun or whatever that goes off, the race starts, and the camera literally focuses on the people at the front. And at the finish line, what do you get? First place, second place, third place, maybe fourth place, right? So that's what? Gold, silver, bronze. What's the other one? Platinum. Gold, silver, bronze. Yeah, it's free, normally free. Yeah, because when you see the people standing to get their medals, you got the one that won at the top, and you got two on each side, the other side, yeah? So you got, gold, silver, and bronze. No one remembers the rest of the people. And if you didn't start, how would you end? How would you finish the race? So, yeah, this is what we're talking about. It's about, let's just get it done. So, yeah, it's not just starting, it's finishing as well. And the master says, don't start anything you're not willing to finish. Okay, let's move on. In Brazil, we have many 9-ether musicians. Okay. I will share with you, Saken, creating a playlist also. They talk about emerald tablets. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We've got some great questions today. Remember, 12/12/2025. Join the Telegram group so you can be kept up to date and posted. Your arm's hurting now, isn't it? No, it's not easy. All right, no worries. I didn't realize that dolphins once upon a time are sexually.
The asexual reproduction.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah, just do. The thing is, yeah, all the information is available because now you have what we call what? We're living in the information age, and you have these things that we call smartphones, smart devices. But people actually allow these to be smarter than them because they just rely on it. And it's like, oh my gosh, if I forget my phone, my whole world is falling to pieces. You can actually live without your phone and just like put it aside. People actually go on retreats now. Like that's how bad it is. They go on retreats so that they can detox from being on social media, from being on devices, because people have become so reliant and addicted to these things to the point where you're making them an extension of yourself. Yes, they're useful, but you're supposed to be utilizing it and not letting it control you. Yeah, so I'm saying you can just Google search, these things are useful, but don't let them become smarter than you.
Someone on TikTok said, "Can you talk about the knowledge of ISIS?"
The knowledge of ISIS, that's quite broad, but ISIS is very significant because on the female side, because like I was saying, a lot of the times the females they're not as prominent or recognized. So ISIS is the person really that is responsible for the story that has become the Mary, Jesus, and God story, right? Because Isis, she's known by many names, right? Hathor, Aset, Ishtar, many names throughout different cultures and different time periods. And Isis obviously being the wife of Osiris, and then they gave birth to, they'd give you that whole story about Seth being the brother of Osiris who tricked him and got him unalived, and then Isis had to go through the process of producing her son Horus, and this is where the Immaculate Conception comes from, and because they say she had a child without Osiris because Osiris already unalived, yeah. That whole story is what's become your biblical stories of God, and then what they do is they talk about Jesus, and they kind of like leave Mary out, but without Mary there would be no Jesus because she gave birth to Jesus, who you call God or God with us, Emmanuel. All right, so Isis is very significant because the woman is first, and all the rituals and certain information, even though the word aphrodisiac, that comes from her, and other prominent females that are not even really mentioned. So when you said speak on, what was the question again? One more time.
Knowledge of ISIS.
The knowledge, like there's so much knowledge. I mean, the temple where we said the Dendera, the temple of Hathor, because that's another one of her names, right? There's so much information on her, but it's a bit broad to say the knowledge of Isis, but that's where most stories have stemmed from. So when you look at the Black Madonna, where you have the Pope, she goes and worships the Black Madonna. That's really dealing with her story. Obviously, the name Isis is a Greek name or Greek rendition of the word asset, or or excuse me, Ashtat. Yeah, that becomes Isis. And depending on which culture you go to, they speak about her, very powerful, because as we say, the female is the goddess that produces the gods. Okay? We have a book, if you can get hold of it, called Ancient Egypt and the Pharaohs. We don't currently have it here in stock, but I'm sure other stores around the world may have it. So, or somebody may be selling it and getting rid of it. So that will go into more detail about her. Okay. Nathan again. So this means if dolphins could reproduce asexually, humans could reproduce it. That's right. Very, very interesting. Yeah. And you know, another thing as well, this, like, we're talking about billions and billions of years, 9 billions of years, the evolution and the different periods that we evolved through to be who we are today. So you can go back to, like I said, the single cells, like protozoa, to, you know, the amoebas, the algae. Like, people take, when they say life, they only think of life in a very short span, like lifespan. It's like, because most people, in terms of the physical body anyway, they if they live up to even 100, it's like amazing. But you've lived many, many, many times over lifetimes. So we have to think about what we're calling life and how minute life was to evolve, and even the planet itself evolved and came from other beings, you see. So we have to just think about, do some research on single cells and how life evolves. And it's a replication of, it's like the tiniest life form has the genetic material in terms of the process it goes through. It's like the order in life plays out right throughout. You see, that's why it wouldn't make sense to say, if you look at life from the microcosm to the, even when you look at the universe, it started off small or tiny. We refer to this as the nukta or the nakat, because it's always a seed, and the seed grows, you see, to become massive. But you can, have you watched Ant-Man? Ant-Man? Yeah, the movie, where, because they show you, in fact, the last one that I watched was talking about the multiverse, and it shows you how, because if you know the movie, I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but you can get very small and you can get very big, right? And it's really dealing with that quantum mechanics. And what I'm basically saying is that just because something is tiny or small doesn't mean that it doesn't have the power of the big, gigantic thing. That's why you hear the term. Again, I want to give a shout out to Jimmy Cliff, the great Jimmy Cliff, who was a proud Nuwapian. He says the harder they come, the harder they fall. So it doesn't matter how big you are, something tiny can still bring you down. It's the story of Goliath, the Goliath, the giant, and David. And he was able to still defeat, because this is what people think. They think that because you're small or minute, that you don't have the same abilities or power, which is not true. It's just the same amount of power. All right, let's move on. I met a Palladian woman. This is from Pharaoh. I met a Palladian woman the other day. She was like a young Bridget Nelson. She was on me. Asked for my. Okay, you guys must be speaking. you're having a conversation, so I'm gonna skip that. Have you pressed the button to like this video? If you haven't, please do so. There's always a few of you, like, why don't you just do it? Just, it takes 2 seconds. Help us. Just press that like button and share if you can.
Someone said, is Nibiru already here and what's to come?
Okay, Nibiru, a lot of people, I'm not even sure where people hear about Nibiru from, because originally it was the master teacher partner Babyanun that highlighted or spoke about Nibiru in the way that it brought it to the masses. And he pointed out other people that were speaking about it, such as Zachariah Sitchin, who was an author trying to translate a lot of the Sumerian tablets, and spoke about, he wrote books like Genesis Revisited, trying to remember some of his titles, but he spoke about Nibiru. So, but today it's like everyone's talking about Nibiru because it's now become popular. Nibiru itself is too big to come into the Earth's atmosphere because it will disrupt it. It can only come as close as it can. And although there is one big craft known as Nibiru, right? These Anunnaki beings, or those beings that Anu sent to the planet Ki in groups of 50, because the smaller passenger craft called Shams could only hold 50 passengers, and there was a whole fleet of craft called Nibiru. So when you look at Nibiru, it's like thinking about, let's say, British Airways or American Airlines, whatever. They have a fleet of different crafts, you know, like jumbo jets and different crafts, smaller ones, big ones, you know, Air Force One, which is like a little island in the sky. But the point is that there were many crafts called Nibiru. Nibiru can only come so far, and then it has to, this is why it's referred to as even the crystal city in the book of Revelations that I've spoken about is a mother plane. As a mother, you have children or have other crafts within that you launch out, because the atmosphere, in terms of when you're dealing with the magnetic interference or the pull, the interference from Nibiru causes earthquakes, tornadoes, and all kinds of disasters on the planet, because it's pushing and pulling forces, centrifugal and centripetal forces. So it can't come here. It can only come to a certain part. There are many fleets that are outside, or they're just in the points called the Lagrange points, right, where they can hide and can never be seen. But my answer to your question is that it's already here in the sense of where it's at, and it will launch other crafts. Everybody's talking about, you know, 3i Atlas, which we already did a video on, and people say it's a craft, people are saying it's a meteorite. They're speculating because they do not actually know. So what was the second part? Was the rest of the question? That was it. Is it here already, or? Yeah, it said, is Nibiru here, or is it coming, or something? There was a second part, I think, to that.
Is Nibiru already here and what's to come?
Right. So what's to come is more and more people are being exposed to extraterrestrials. The funny thing is, extraterrestrials have been here from the beginning of time. And it's just that the way it was conveyed to you in the sixth ether spellbinding way was that they just said it's God and angels. And these God and angels, or Allah, or these beings that they give you in the books, they're somewhere outside of the planet. But they send people to come here. And these people are referred to as angels. The angel Gabriel and, you know, Michael, and they talk about them as if, to you, at that time, your mind wasn't ready to comprehend what we're calling extraterrestrials, but that's what they really are. So many beings have come here in many different types of crafts, spoken about throughout the Bible from Genesis all the way to the book of Revelations. Ezekiel's will, and like I said in the Revelations, the crystal city, they call them clouds, chariots, the cloud that was following the children of Israelites and stopping and carrying on. No cloud behaves in that way, you see. So Daniel, the visions, there were so many stories given to you about extraterrestrials, but you just didn't see them as that. The names like Yahweh, that's dealing with Enki. Names like Baal, that's dealing with Enlil. So there are different names to disguise and cover them up. And today, because the master teacher is also one of those beings, he's able to expose and give you all the names, right? Look out for the Let My Words Be Known. That goes into detail about who these beings are, giving you their names. The Anunnaki telling you who they are, like in terms of their parents of these people or these beings that you're calling Anunnaki. You see, so the craft's already here. And in order to come down here, they have to use smaller crafts because, as I already mentioned, the impact that it has if it comes closer. But when you say here, the distances they have to travel, the humans, in terms of the crafts that we have, we don't have that power or that technology yet. Many beings have tried to re-engineer some of the crafts that have crashed here or landed here by these extraterrestrials, like, you know about the Roswell incident and many incidents that people have spoken about being abducted, or they've seen this craft, and now it's becoming more common. So what is to happen is it's going to become more and more exposed, and to the point where it will be just like how we take these phones for granted now, this technology. So, and then some of these crafts, depending on what takes place and what humanity does, they may be catastrophes and certain things that can mean that this planet, many parts are going to be destroyed. And you need to know where to go or who to go with, because some of these extraterrestrials are coming here for their own purpose and objectives. Like, some of them are just coming to take food, and they like to eat humans, just like humans like to eat animals of all sorts. So there are many different agendas by these different beings. But then you have those who want to be raised and be prepared to be taken up or elevated, or to be taken and saved away from this planet if it does reach the point of total destruction, which could also be possible when you think about nuclear weapons and all the wars that are going on, which people are already referring to as World War III. You see, so there are many different parameters to what could happen or what is actually going to happen. And it's all down to us as well as humanity. But some beings are being removed from the planet because their time is up. It's just the way natural nature works. Mother Nature is doing a cleanse to remove anything and anyone that is causing it pain. Yeah, so when we look at Mother Nature, we look at it's a living entity. The planet's a living entity. So if you're cutting all the trees, poisoning the waters, eating the animals, and wars and all of that, it's like, I need to get better. I need to cleanse. I need to get rid of anything that is a nuisance or that is manifestation, infesting the planet. So there's a lot that can happen, but we have one amongst us. He's known as the guide, Parnababianun. And he's guiding those who will listen. And it doesn't matter who you are. You either listen or you don't. But remember, there are consequences to your actions. Yeah, I like that. Rilo99. Yeah, the ovaries are testes on men. So remember, 12-12. Okay, let's go to Grace again. Why do women have beards? Not all, but few. Yeah, that's hormones. That's down to what you're eating and what you're doing, because you have to really study genes and how genes work, right? So when we're saying that you can reprogram yourself by the behaviors and the things you do and actions you take, so you eat in certain things that are gonna gyrate or agitate certain hormones, you see. So for example, dairy products, homogenized milk, okay? The word says it for itself. It affects your hormones, you see. So it all depends on what you're doing and how it affects your being. This is why we teach you that you have to study your body. You have to study the systems. What are they designed to do and what are they for? Because they will change you. Haven't you not ever seen, right, people that are way, way overweight, that they look a certain way? They find it hard to perhaps, a lot of people, when they're really overweight, they're told if you don't change your lifestyle and change your diet and exercise, your heart's going to give up because it's working, you're putting it under too much duress. And I'm not just talking about people that are overweight. It can be the other way around too, where you're too underweight, you're anorexic, right? So but you will see your body transform. And then when you go on diet, you go on a diet, you start exercising, you stop eating certain things, the person transforms. You see them. A good example is Luther, right? Luther Vandross. You hear the jokes all the time. When you say Luther, you say, is that big Luther or skinny Luther? Because he was constantly fluctuating from being one way to the other. Sometimes it is genetics, but you have the ability to reprogram yourself and live longer by just changing your lifestyle. So you've got people that eat certain things, drink certain things, do certain things. And this is not just physical either. You have people who, for example, would take other people's DNA in terms of wigs and hair that they put on their own body that then interacts with them and they change. Energy is being transferred. So yeah, it's all down to, you know, how your hormones are being affected by the things you do. So that's why you will see women that, you know, have beards. Some of it is genetic, as I said, but a lot of the times, if you check out and ask those people what diet they, you know, what is their diet, diet plays such a significant part in how you transform and what you become. Hence the phrase, you are what you eat, in the literal sense of the word. Yeah, someone already answered that actually. I've just seen, yeah, someone kind of answered that. And I've watched Undercover Brother along with Iron Sky and the Black Dynamite. No Anaconda malt liquor. Okay. All right, let's see what other... Wow, we got loads of questions. Let me just skip through and see which ones are not conversations. What happens when a woman is Sabian and the husband is not a Sabian? Are they supposed to separate? No, we don't dictate and say you're supposed to do this, but of course, it's going to be more harmonious for both people because you don't want conflicts of interest. Like, it's like if Sabians don't do this, which is a better way for them, and the opposite sex or their partner or someone else is doing the exact opposite, there may be conflicts, but at the end of the day, the master teaches us that you choose to love who you choose to love, and it becomes your responsibility. So remember that you have to deal with that. So, but ideally, it just makes more sense for you all to be one. That's what you're trying to do, to become one soul, one being. This is why they say that, you cling on to your wife or husband, right? So, yeah, we don't, we have like the 33 commandments of the Sabian. We have many scrolls that teach about, how you should come together. The Golden Children talks about that. Wow, this chair just decided to do its own thing. But we definitely, we definitely don't get involved with people's decisions. The guidelines are there, and it's up to you if you want to follow them or not. When you say, are they supposed to separate, that will be down to them. And but it's a great question. It's a serious question, because you have to choose and decide. This ties into the question of freedom. When we're talking about freedom, sometimes people are, for lack of a better word, they're trapped in a situation that it's not helping them to grow or elevate, and so they have to make that decision. The Natharu, our ancestors, our overseers, they frown upon separation. It's really about love and unity and coming together. So that's why it's so important to choose wisely as well, because when you say husband, phonetically that word also relates to being housebound. And people change sometimes when they can grow apart or go in separate ways. But marriage is supposed to be for life. So yeah, it's very important to choose wisely. That's why the master puts out so many scrolls to teach you about what you're looking for and the natures, and not just physically in terms of genetics, but spiritually as well. But yeah, in Wu-Sabat, we're not a religion. We don't dictate and tell people what to do in terms of their sexual preferences or who to love. However, you must use 9 mind, 9 knowledge to choose wisely, because you could be trapped, and now you're kind of stuck in a situation where, and you hear this play out all the time. People are together, but they may not be happy, or then they say, oh, we're staying together for the sake of the children, and then the children witness an ideal union. So it's very complex, but it's also based on each individual circumstance, or different people, you can also change and transform. And by way of your example, you can then eventually find your way to becoming one. I hope that helps. Next question. Wise Words 671. Are we able to erase the caps at the end of our telomere cells and extend our life to live a lot longer? If so, how can we do that? The we, it depends on who the we is. But yes, we can. That's the point, that you can extend your life by rearranging or changing your habits and the things you do. Because like I gave a few examples, and not having to go at people that do those things that shorten their life. That's why the way to live is by way of Wu-Sabat, because that will help you to recalibrate and program and reprogram yourself so you can. But if we're talking about if the we is Adamites, they can't, because that was the judgment. It was like you're only given a specific period of time, and the telomeres govern that. So after 6,000 years, they will start to fade out because they were created for a purpose, and that purpose has been fulfilled, and it's extinction time, and there's no reversing that. Excuse me, by the forces of nature. It's irreversible. That's why the fertility rate is so low that those who study these things, they can tell you there is no coming back from this, you know. And it's like when you study, like say, polar bears or anything you can remember that's no longer here. Geologists and people that study these things, they know how many, let's say, oh, there used to be so many polar bears and they've dwindled, and now they're like, wow, there's only 10 left, or there's only 2 left. And then they try to, you know, try and use genetic engineering and try and prolong that life, or try to do things that are against nature, and it doesn't work. And eventually they're gone. They say they've disappeared. They've basically become extinct. And that's the same thing that happened when you look at the human races, like the major root races. You had Homo naledi, which is the male of the brown gene. You had the Homo habilis, which will be the women, and that will be your African or the original root race. Then you have, you know, you hear about the Denisovan and the Homo floresiensis, and then you go to the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthal. But people are like, what happened to the Cro-Magnon? They disappeared. It's because the extraterrestrials produced the Basque, and these were genetically made to make the Cro-Magnon extinct, and that's what happened. We have the details in our scrolls. So again, nature does its thing. So yes, you can extend the life of your telomeres so that you can live longer. And how you do it is by way of Wu-Sabat, by applying Wu-Sabat in your life. Gosh, V-Man 8717. Can you explain the creation of the Adam properly, please? Where they were created, the color they are now, were they the color they are now during the time of Noah? When did this Yaqub come? And we've done several videos on this already. We're coming down to the last 15 minutes. So I'm going to give you as much as I can. There's a book we've got available right now called The Beginning. Okay? That scroll, let me see if I can post it, because sometimes we'll be saying this and some people may not hear it properly, or let me post it. The scroll is called The Beginning, right? It explains in great detail these phones. It's not letting me. Are you able to post it? Because I can't. Okay, I've got it now. You know, when that's what I'm saying. These devices, I'm clicking in the box, but it's not giving me the keyboard, so I can't type. But we'll post a link. The scroll is called The Beginning, and if you can get hold of that. Yeah, these devices malfunction sometimes. That's why I said don't let them become smarter than you. But let me give you what I can. When you say the creation of the Adam, there were different Adams or different people or different experiments that were being carried out by these different extraterrestrial beings. And so every time there was a new experiment, a replenishing or a new beginning, these were referred to as Adams. So in the beginning scrolls, it explains these different experiments that were taking place by extraterrestrial. And these Adams were referred to as, from Nun, Nunet, He, Hihet, Ket, Kiket, Amun, Amunet, and then we come down. So the last, like Adam before the Adamites, that's another little confusion as well. When we say Adam and then we say Adamites, the last Adam would have been 49,000 years ago, and then you had the Adamites of 6,000 years ago. But in between that, you also had, like, because you mentioned Yaqub's Adam was his creation. Because when you're saying Adam, it's like a new species or a new beginning of that species. So Yaqub's Adam would have been the flugerods that he grafted, and he went through that process by taking, I just mentioned the brown genes to what we call the pink genes, and these different experiments, some were good, some were bad, some brought about all kinds of deformities, and so you got this to how in the Bible you end up with different beings with like 6 toes and different arms and all of that, where in Hinduism you start to see the depiction of some of these creations that have more than one arm. You look at the beings like with the nose, like the elephant nose, the 6 arms. But anyway, I don't want to digress. But what I'm saying is that when you're saying Adam, there were different creations of Adams. Yeah, you say creation of the Adam properly, please. Where they were created. So there were different locations. So when we're dealing with the Anunnaki, for example, they were created in a place called Shimti, a laboratory called Shimti in the underworld. Then you have the Hindus of the Adams there, when we're saying Atum and Lilith, okay, those are the parents of that Adam. And then, as you know, the Eve was from Ptah or Path and Anath. Then when you get to the Adamites, you're dealing with Pleiadians coming in and the Anunnaki coming in and creating their own Adams, or Lulu or Milus, or primitive workers to do the work. So different extraterrestrial created new species for a particular purpose or reason. In the case of the Anunnaki, they wanted someone to do the work that was very hard for them, like mining the gold. So, yeah, I mean, you're telling, there's a lot you're asking. So there were Hindu beings that got grafted, and as I said, those flugerods being with Yaqub, which you mentioned as well, they got grafted from the original brown germ all the way to the pink germ. And then as these experiments were taking place, they were becoming less melanated and then transparent. And that's where you also had mutations. All right. And what's the last part? Oh yeah, Noah. They are now during the time. Noah. Again, when you say Noah, most of the biblical stories are copies from other stories. So even though you're saying Noah, that is a story that was taken from the Sumerian story, which was taken from the Egyptian story. So when you look at it from the Sumerian perspective, they're gonna talk about what's his name again? Zuasidra. There was another name for Noah that I'm trying to remember. That's it, Utnapishtim. So study that, and then when you go to the story of the Egyptian story, that Noah become Sinefiru or Senefiru. But it's a remix of a story that ends up in the Bible as the Noah story. And that's why people get confused, because they're like, If everybody was wiped out and then everyone came out of the ark, how did you get the different races? If you're talking about the sons of Noah, you see, because people will try to claim that all those races on the planet today, like you had someone that had triplets, yeah. Trying to remember their name. Japheth. Damn, it just escaped me. But anyway, these triplets are supposed to come out, and then you have one white or one black, one white, one Asian, which is scientifically impossible. From two parents, you can't have different genetics or different people. But as I said, it's a question at this time. Wow, there's so many questions. I want to try and answer some. It's 2121 now, which is 99. So join the Telegram group, ask more questions, and we can go into more detail. But let me try and get through these last few questions so that people that have been waiting can get their question answered as well, okay? Hey guys, Hathor, Abraham, yeah, okay, let's jump to that. What happens when a woman is, okay, cover that. Yeah, that question was V-Man 8717. And the serpent who informed them if they ate the fruit, they wouldn't die was, no, that's what I'm saying. These are people, right? So that serpent, his name is Ningishzida. This is what I'm saying, like, when you know the actual people and the characters that are being interpreted and called names like the serpent, that was a person. But as I said, I haven't got time to go into Ningish Zida. So you can say that the serpent is our devil, but they're God. No, that's what I'm saying. That you look out. Actually, there's a let my words be known that we've done recently that goes into that detail. So I'm not going to go into it now. Crowlo L, do you know of any books on who these Asian Nigerian diasporas are? Those it matter if not? Does it matter if 9 ether beings Nagaru are Nubians regardless? I hope that's not a prejudice question. Yeah, the question is not clear, but yeah, when you say Nubians, that's just a term that became popular. But when you know who the original Nubians come from the Nubons, and there's again that colorism and the whole, the whitewashing, or when you go to Egypt today, the people you're calling Nubians are the mixture from Arabs and those Nubons. So do you know of any books on who these Nigerian diasporas are? Does it matter if... Yeah, join the Telegram group and ask that question again properly. Is there coincidence or accident in the universe? No, there's order in the universe. However, when you say coincidence, you're talking about two things happening. Co means two, like co-pilot, two people flying a plane together. So coincidence is just dealing with two incidents that happen. After that, it's no longer a coincidence. But there is really, the universe is based on order, because if not, there will be chaos. But I'm going through these questions quickly because we really have 5 minutes left. What does it mean to always, that was from Grace Jockey, by the way. What does it mean to always dream while in the water? Can't go into that. We don't really interpret people's dreams. That's for you, and for you to continue to monitor, study, and try and figure out for yourself. What's your take on the rise of Nick? I don't even know who that is, but I'll have to look into that. That's Netta. I can't pronounce your name either. Netta Meletsi. I'll look into who that is. Nick Fuentes. I don't know who that is. I haven't yeah, maybe you have to enlighten me. X Dark Awakening X9710. Yes, you have to do your research and make sure seeds are original. Yep, that's true. There are people who still keep, yep, that's true, dealing with the whole seeds and growing of food. Grow your groceries. How is plastic harmful to humans? Plastic is very harmful to humans because it can be so tiny, but it builds up and clogs up your system. So, for example, when you get water that is in plastic and you freeze it, the plastic seeps into the water, but very tiny particles. It's like ions as well. Like they're so tiny, you breathing them in, and after a while, they're being within your body. You also produce a lot of mucus if you're on bad diets and you're not cleansing and removing these toxins from your body. So it's kind of like things become clogged up, and then metals get trapped, and they by nature rust, and this is why people get sick. So cleansing is great. Not going to give out the number to call now because we literally have 3 minutes before we have to pause for the calls. Okay, someone's already added to the plastics can get into organs. There you go. And the brain, microplastic, exactly. Let me skip that because I'm trying to get to the end. Is the Great Pyramid going to be fixed, or will there be another one built working with case? There will be another one built because things have changed as well. Like things are shifting. That's why when we talk about the dimensional shift, it means that the planet is rotating and changing from the 23-degree axis that it's been in, and it's going to go back to the way it was, to the 45-degree angle. And so everything is moving and changing within it. It's like, imagine I had water in a cup and the cup was leaning like this, and then I turned it back straight. The water is going to move. And I'm saying that to say there are natural resources like oil and other minerals and resources within the planet that's going to change. But to answer your question quickly, X Dark Awakening, yeah, and new pyramids will be built because the ley lines and the energy centers are now shifting and moving. Capstone pure gold or cut crystal, as I know it was. Okay. Was the pyramid in Tamaray working? Yes, it was at one point. Okay, I think we've done it. I'm new to your channel. I was led to you. I am also in the UK too. That's Cat Can too. Come and see us. Come and sup with us. If you're in the UK, look forward to seeing you soon, so you can actually get the updates and things that we don't give out publicly. Okay, you got a question?
Someone said, what's behind you?
What's behind me? There's many things behind me. Are you talking about the posters? So we've got the language Nuwapic, right? We have so many tools that will help everyone, the children, learn our language. Miss Batia, we recently launched an online course that's interactive, that you can do in your own time. You can be tested. It's very well structured, covers everything you need to learn to speak the language in 6 months fluently. So some of those tools you see behind, they're to help you. We also have natural art that deals with cultural, just making sure that you represent the energies and the things you have around you in terms of the colors, the art, that all help and give a vibration and bring about wellness in terms of your mental health and so forth. So we don't do anything just for the sake of doing it. There's a purpose and a reason behind it.
Can you show us that one? Can you show us that one? Just bring it.
Oh, you want me to show you? Yeah, absolutely. This chair is doing its own thing. Look, it's gone up really high. In fact, I might as well show you both of them. We're coming to the last few minutes anyway. Yeah, this is one of our great, you see what I'm saying? Family members, Moisar. This is produced by Temple Babies. And we do have them here. So as you can see, these are the building blocks. You learn what we call the harfat, which is Sabaik for the alphabet. And, you know, you go through them. And very creative. So that's that one. Let me put that one down. And then this one is the numbers, as you can see. Yeah, Rakam at. So this is your numbers. And we start from 0. So that's Safu, Wahu, Athu, Thalu, Rabu, Khamu. And you count all the way, as you can see, going all the way to the thousands. And again, produced by Temple Babies. Big shout out to our Moisar. They're putting in the work. We need to reinvent and basically recreate everything to help our karadu or children from an early age all the way to becoming those supreme beings. Okay, we've got, last 2 questions. Funny enough, before that, does my genetics say the same? Does my genetics say, I think you mean to say stay, the same throughout all of my different lifetimes? No, they don't. Because depending on, obviously there is a root or a tie to family members, but no, it doesn't. But that also depends on what you're doing. No, I mean, does my DNA, DNA change in all different, yes, it does change because DNA is programmable. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to improve by reprogramming your DNA. That's why when you look at the ACGT, those codes can be rearranged and programmed in different ways to have a different outcome. It's like coding and programming. Funny enough, this is the last point before we close. This is from Cat Can 2. Funny enough, I was thinking of the Ant-Man video yesterday. Okay. Yes, thanks for hitting the like button. And we've come, look at that, 9:33. We've come to the end of another great session with you guys. Always a pleasure to come and answer questions for you by way of what we've been taught by Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Ziyok. But remember, the key doesn't open the door, you do. Meaning you have to put in the work, you have to do something. You can't just stand in front of the door with your key and don't open the door, you're not going to get in. So you have to come and get involved, put it to action, help with the projects that we're working on, because we all need to do our part. So until next week, but remember, 12th of the 12th.
Someone said, do you sell those charts?
Yes, absolutely. That's what they're here for. And this helps you. And you can have these in your home because when you learn the language, it's a combination of reading, writing, and speaking. And when you have them, around, so when you're studying the language online, this reinforces what you're learning. So yes, we do have them available. We wanna, where we are now, number one, get the knowledge out to the people. Let my words be known. Partner Babyanun says it all the time. Let everyone get the opportunity for Wu-Sabat. Number two, I'm not doing it in any particular order, but the language is key because you start to reprogram yourself with new. No one else on the planet is going to give you this language. It's the first and original language on the planet. So you're becoming a baby again and starting from scratch. Finally, it's freedom. Freedom for the master teacher. Like I said, I didn't do it in a particular order, but we've got the knowledge out there. It's getting out there. You can help. We've now got the language. We've got the language Telegram groups. We've got the language course. So no one really has an excuse now. And now we're focusing on our projects for freedom. Freedom physically, mentally, spiritually. Freedom for the master teacher, which ultimately means freedom for us. So let's work on that. 100 project, that's what we're working on, for the freedom of us and everyone that wants freedom. check out the video on OSM Vision called Freedom. Right now, if you think you're free, you're dumb. Freedom. But we know how to be free properly by way of Wu-Sabat. Same time, same place next week. Wadu Moisa, remember 12 of the 12. Video that's going to change the world. You know, we always come and we drop it like it's hot. All right. Wadu family, Wadu Moisa.